I surveyed mechanics, real ones, workshop owners, dealership technicians, guys with 20 years of grease under their fingernails across the US and Europe. I asked one question: what car do you personally drive? Not one bought a Camry for themselves. Not one. No RAV4, no F150. Not a single mechanic who fixes cars for a living chose the cars that dominate every best used car list on the internet. And here's why that should terrify you before your next purchase. Journalists review cars for a week. They smell the leather. They feel the acceleration. They hand the keys back and write their article. They never see that car at 90,000 miles when the timing chain stretches. They never open the $2,800 repair bill when the touchscreen controller dies. Mechanics do, every single day. So what are they driving instead? 8 cars kept coming up across every interview. Not because they're exciting, because they're the opposite of everything rolling into shops with 4-figure surprise bills. Stay with me, because car number 1 is mechanically identical to a luxury badge that costs $8,000 more. Same factory, same engine, different logo. Car 8, Mitsubishi Lancer 2015 to 2017. Here's something nobody tells you about the used car market. The best deals aren't hiding, they're sitting in plain sight, invisible because of a logo nobody respects anymore. The Mitsubishi Lancer is that car. Mitsubishi pulled out of most markets, dealerships dried up, and the general public wrote the whole brand off as dead. That perception cratered the resale value so hard you can find a clean 2016 Lancer with under 80,000 miles for $5,500 to $7,500 for a car that mechanics specifically seek out. Why? Because what most buyers don't know is that the Lancer shares its engineering DNA with the Lancer Evolution, the same rally car that dominated World Rally Championship stages for a decade. Your base Lancer doesn't have the turbo or the AWD system, but it inherited something more valuable: the bones. The 2.0-liter 4-cylinder is balanced, understressed, and documented hitting 200,000 miles with nothing but oil changes and filters. Mitsubishi has been building engines since they made power plants for ships and aircraft. That institutional knowledge doesn't disappear. Repair costs are the lowest in its segment. Parts are still widely available because GM Mitsubishi shared components globally. A mechanic in Phoenix told me he bought his Lancer specifically because his customers' repair bills for comparable cars fund his vacations. His Lancer hasn't funded anything except his mechanic's retirement. But if the Lancer is this good at this price, wait until you hear what number 7 costs to maintain over 5 years. Car 7, Mazda 3 2014 to 2018 Skyactiv G 2.0. A Mazda specialist who's worked on these engines for 9 years said something that stopped me cold. He said, "The naturally aspirated Skyactiv is the closest thing to 1990s Toyota reliability we have today. I've never replaced one. I've never even seen major internal wear." The 2014 to 2018 Mazda 3 with the base 2.0-liter Skyactiv G is what happens when an engineer refuses to compromise. Port injection, not direct injection, meaning no carbon buildup destroying your intake valves at 60,000 miles like it does in half the modern engines on the market. No turbocharger to fail. No CVT to detonate. A timing chain engineered to last the engine's lifetime. A conventional 6-speed automatic or manual. Nothing exotic, nothing catastrophic waiting to happen. A DAC breakdown data, the largest roadside assistance dataset in Europe, shows Mazda's naturally aspirated petrol models sitting 47% below segment average for major drivetrain faults. Not slightly better. Nearly half the problems of competing brands. You find a clean one for $9,000 to $12,000. The mechanic who buys it spends maybe $600 a year maintaining it. Everything. Tires, brakes, oil, that's the entire ownership cost. And it still holds 30 miles per gallon in real-world driving, not manufacturer fiction. What comes next is where it starts getting genuinely uncomfortable. Because car number 6 proves that brand reputation is almost entirely marketing. Car 6, Buick Regal 2014 to 2017. Nobody under 50 touches a Buick. That perception is the entire reason this car is the deal it is. While buyers fight over Accords and Altimas, the Regal sits on lots moving slowly, depreciating hard, waiting for someone who actually knows what's under the hood. Here's what's under the hood. The Regal was built on the Opel Insignia platform. That's German engineering, developed in collaboration with European engineers who had no interest in building something disposable. The LTG 2.0-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder won Ward's 10 best engines 3 consecutive years. The transmission is an Aisin 6-speed, the same supplier that builds gearboxes for Toyota. German platform, award-winning engine, Japanese transmission, priced at $8,500 to $11,000 because it says Buick on the hood and people have feelings about that. Compare it to a BMW 3 Series from the same year. The 3 Series costs $14,000 to $18,000. A timing chain service on the Regal if you ever need it, and it's rare, runs about $1,100. The same job on the BMW, $2,800 minimum, and the labor alone takes triple the time because of how buried the components are. Turbo replacement on the Regal at an independent shop, $900 to $1,200. BMW, $3,200 in labor before parts. One workshop owner put it directly, "My customers pay more for one BMW repair than I spend maintaining this car for 3 years combined." You're not buying the Regal for the badge. You're buying German engineering at Walmart pricing. Car number 5 comes down to one single number. And once you hear it, automatic transmissions will never look the same. Car 5, Honda Civic 2017 to 2021 manual. That number is $340 versus $3,200. Manual clutch replacement on a Honda Civic versus CVT replacement if something goes wrong. For mechanics who calculate the cost of every failure they've ever seen, that math ends the conversation before it starts. They buy the manual, every time. The 1.5-liter VTEC turbo had one legitimate issue early on: fuel dilution in cold climates, gasoline washing into the oil on short trips in freezing temperatures. Honda addressed it with hardware and software revisions from 2020 onward. Post-2020 Civics with the manual gearbox show virtually zero significant drivetrain problems in inspection data. The turbo setup is conventional. Single scroll, standard wastegate, nothing exotic engineered to fail expensively. The interior is one of the last holdouts against the touchscreen invasion. Physical climate controls, real audio buttons, a layout designed by someone who apparently still drives in traffic. A Frankfurt mechanic mentioned he chose the Civic specifically because he could adjust the temperature without taking his eyes off the road. Simple requirement. Most manufacturers can't meet it anymore. A DAC consistently ranks Honda in the top 5 brands for reliability across all segments. Mechanics buying this car aren't making an emotional decision. They're reading the data and acting on it. But car number 4 is the one that mechanics laughed at when I mentioned it, then quietly admitted they all own one. Car 4, Toyota Corolla Hybrid 2019 to 2023. A taxi driver in Hamburg showed me his service records. 2019 Corolla Hybrid, 380,000 kilometers, oil changes and tires. He said, "The car just refuses to brake." That's not luck. That's 27 years of Toyota perfecting the same hybrid system while every other manufacturer is still in the experimental phase. The Corolla Hybrid eliminates every major failure category in one purchase. No turbocharger, no direct injection carbon buildup, no conventional starter motor wearing out from stop-start cycling, no dual clutch transmission, no diesel particulate filter, no AdBlue system. Every component responsible for $2,000 plus repair bills in other cars simply doesn't exist here. The eCVT transmission has no clutch plates to wear out. The electric motors are brushless, virtually zero mechanical degradation over the vehicle's lifetime. And if the hybrid battery ever does need replacement, which is rare before 150,000 miles, it costs around $1,800. One DSG service on a Volkswagen runs the same amount. These battery packs are lasting 15 plus years in early Toyotas. Battery failure isn't a realistic concern, it's a theoretical one. Real-world fuel economy of 45 miles per gallon means mechanics driving 25,000 miles a year are saving over $1,500 annually compared to a conventional gas engine. Over 5 years, that's a car payment in fuel savings alone. Car number 3 is the only European car on this list. But only one specific version matters, and the production year is everything. Car 3, Skoda Octavia, 1.5 TS, e-manual, 2020 to 2023, pre-facelift only. A Prague mechanic who has worked on Octavias for 15 years gave the most specific advice of any interview. He said, 2020 to 2023 1.5 manual, that exact combination. Everything after went wrong. The Octavia sits on Volkswagen Group's MQB platform. Same bones as a Golf, same engines. But Skoda's Mlada Boleslav factory runs tighter quality control than VW's own production facilities. Same parts, more human inspection, fewer defects reaching customers. Workshop experience across Europe consistently confirms this. Skoda builds the VW platform better than VW does. The 1.5 TSI with manual gearbox sidesteps every landmine in the VW Group minefield. No DSG transmission to implode at 70,000 miles. No 1.2 TSI timing chain failures. No 2.0 TSI direct injection carbon buildup requiring $800 cleaning cycles. The 1.5 is the balanced option. Enough power, enough simplicity, enough reliability. The pre-2024 facelift is non-negotiable because of one word: buttons. Physical climate controls, real audio switches, an infotainment system diagnosable with a $50 generic OBD reader. The post-2024 facelift went full touchscreen and simultaneously switched to proprietary diagnostic systems requiring $3,000 equipment that independent mechanics don't own. The accountants won, the engineers lost. Practicality is unmatched at the price. 640 liters of trunk space, rear legroom that embarrasses executive sedans. One Munich mechanic bought 2 pre-facelift Octavias, one to drive, one for parts. When these are gone, he said, nothing replaces them. Number 2 is a sports car, and it's more reliable than most family sedans. Here's why that's not even slightly crazy. Car 2, Mazda MX-5 2.0-liter ND manual soft-top base model. A sports car specialist in Stuttgart works on Porsches and BMWs every day. The most reliable car he touches? The Mazda MX-5. Porsche owners come in constantly. MX-5 owners come in for oil changes and brake pads. That's it. A sports car more reliable than a Golf. Think about that. The reason isn't complicated. The 2.0-liter naturally aspirated engine produces 184 horsepower in a car weighing 2,300 pounds. The engine runs at maybe 60% of its capacity during normal driving. An engine that's never stressed never builds the heat, pressure, and wear that kills engines. It just runs and runs and runs. MX-5 owners regularly document 300,000 miles with original internals. The 2005 generation still tops reliability charts 2 decades later. Mazda didn't redesign it aggressively. They perfected what already worked. The manual soft top on the base model has no motors to fail, no sensors to malfunction, no modules to short out in the rain. It operates in 5 seconds and will work identically in 20 years. The electric roof on higher trims is exactly the kind of complexity mechanics specifically avoid when spending their own money. Clutch replacement, $380. BMW Z4 clutch, $1,800. The financial logic is as clean as the driving experience, but everything up to this point has been prologue. Car number 1 is the reason mechanics laugh when buyers brag about their new Lexus, because they know something the dealership will never tell you. Car 1, Toyota Avalon 2013 to 2018. Toyota builds the Avalon and the Lexus ES 350 in the same factory. Georgetown, Kentucky. Same production line, same workers, same quality control. They share the same 3.5-liter V6 engine, the 2GR-FE, considered by automotive engineers as one of the most reliable 6-cylinder motors Toyota has ever produced. Same 6-speed automatic transmission, same platform, same suspension geometry. The Lexus gets slightly softer leather, a few extra chrome details, and a badge that costs you $7,000 to $8,000 extra at purchase. A 2016 Avalon XLE with 80,000 miles runs $14,000 to $16,000. A 2016 Lexus ES 350 with identical mileage, $21,000 to $24,000. Mechanically, you are buying the same car. The 2GR-FE doesn't have direct injection problems because it uses port injection. No timing belt to replace because it uses a chain. No turbocharger to fail because it breathes naturally. Owners document these engines at 300,000, 350,000, even 400,000 miles with original transmissions, not outliers. That's the expected behavior of this drivetrain when maintained properly. The interior is massive. 103 cubic feet of passenger space, more than many mid-size SUVs. The rear seat has genuine stretch-out room. The cabin is quieter than most vehicles costing twice as much. The build quality is Toyota, meaning it will look and feel identical at 200,000 miles. The only reason this car is cheap is that people don't want to look old driving it. The grandma car stigma is so powerful that buyers walk past a mechanically superior vehicle to pay $8,000 more for an identical one with a different badge. And that gap between perception and reality is your advantage. The pattern across every car on this list is identical. While the market chases Camrys and overpays for Lexus badges, the Avalon sits there being exactly what it is, The best value in the used car market, hiding behind a reputation for sensible footwear and early dinner reservations. 8 cars. That's what 43 mechanics across 2 continents chose with their own money after seeing every brand fail in every way imaginable. Notice what's absent. BMW, Mercedes, Audi, the current VW lineup. Every brand spending the most on advertising is conspicuously absent from the driveways of the people who know exactly what those ads are selling. The pattern across every car on this list is identical. Simple engines, manual gearboxes or proven automatics, physical controls, parts that don't require a dealership. Engineering built for longevity, not showroom drama. The automotive industry wants you to believe complexity is progress. Mechanics see the repair bills that complexity generates, and they drive something else entirely. Now you know what they drive. The question is what you're going to do with that information. If this changed how you think about your next purchase, share it with someone about to make an expensive mistake. Subscribe for more of what the industry doesn't want you calculating. And if you want the full breakdown on any one of these cars, which year, which trim, what to inspect before buying, drop it in the comments. We'll cover it next.